When Australians think about our most important allies, the usual names come to mind. The United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, big powers, far away, who share our values but don't share borders. And of course there's New Zealand, a neighbour and a partner we work with constantly, but even closer than that lies another nation. Because our closest and potentially most important partner isn't half a world away, it's right on our doorstep. Just 4 kilometres from Queensland, across the Torres Strait, lies Papua New Guinea. For decades, PNG has been seen mainly through the lens of aid programs, peacekeeping and development challenges. But that's changing. Australia and PNG are now building something bigger, a comprehensive partnership that spans defence, sport, labour, education and culture. And it isn't just symbolic. This is about hard strategy for Australia and real opportunity for PNG. For us, it's about securing a strong, stable, culturally aligned ally in the Pacific. For them, it's about training, education, pathways for development, and even priority access to Australia itself. This could reshape our region, so... Hi, Mel from the future here. This video was written and filmed last week, just after the communique between Australia and Papua New Guinea was signed, but the treaty was not completely agreed to. I was hoping something would have changed by now. Either the deal was confirmed and agreed, or fully disregarded. I'm going to play the video as I shot it last week, but we'll add in some more context about the current state of the treaty and what I think needs to happen. So let's get into it. Australia and PNG's Defence Treaty. The first pillar of the partnership is defence. Australia and PNG are preparing to sign a landmark treaty that will bind our militaries closer than ever before. On paper, this means joint training exercises, interoperability of equipment, and shared facilities. In practice, it means the Australian Defence Force will be working hand in glove with the PNG Defence Force on almost every front. It's also known as the Pukpuk Treaty, named after the Papua New Guinean pidgin word for crocodile. Effectively, it will allow the ADF to recruit soldiers from Papua New Guinea and vice versa. PNG citizens will have a pathway to gain Australian citizenship via serving in the ADF. One minister says it will totally integrate the two countries' militaries and involve sharing resources. It says each party recognises that an armed attack on either of the parties within the Pacific would be dangerous to each other's peace and security, and the security of the Pacific, and declares that it would act to meet the common danger in accordance with its constitutional process. The pact will see PNG and Australia conduct joint military exercises every year called Pukpuk exercises. For PNG, this is transformative. Their military is small and underfunded, but with Australian backing, it gains access to advanced training programs, modern logistics and scholarships for officers at institutions like ADFA. Young PNG leaders will graduate alongside Australians, building not just skills, but lifelong professional networks. For Australia, the benefits are strategic. Having access to PNG's ports, airstrips and bases strengthens our northern shield. It means that if outside powers, and let's be blunt, we're talking about China, try to exert influence in PNG, Australia already has a strong embedded presence. This isn't about Australia propping up a neighbour, it's about creating a partner who can stand on their own feet but also stand with us. In an era where geography shapes strategy, securing PNG as a defence ally is one of Australia's smartest moves. As of the writing and filming of this episode, the treaty has not yet been signed. Members of PNG's cabinet were absent due to the country's 50th anniversary of independence celebrations, and in lieu of signing the pact, a joint communique was signed. It states both countries agree on the text of the Mutual Defence Treaty and that it will be signed following cabinet processes in both countries. And as of today, which is a week after I shot the last section, the treaty still hasn't been signed. Yes, both governments have agreed on the text, but this delay hasn't gone unnoticed. Publicly, China warned Papua New Guinea against this war pact, and it's hard to ignore the likelihood that China is leaning on Papua New Guinea parliamentarians behind closed doors as well. Beijing has been active across the Pacific, offering infrastructure loans, police training, and security agreements, notably in places like the Solomon Islands. That pressure could explain some of the hesitation in Port Moresby. One way Australia might counter this is by putting more on the table table. Something which I mention a bit later on in this video is the PALM scheme and my idea to expand that program. This could create new pathways for skilled PNG workers to train and work in Australia and would be the kind of practical benefit to sweeten the pot and help to bring Papua New Guinea back to the table with us rather than drifting towards a deal with China. Ultimately, I think the treaty is likely to be agreed, but Canberra will need to keep pursuing it with persistence and pragmatism. Rugby league diplomacy. Defence is only part of the story. To really build trust, you need more than treaties. You need culture. And in PNG, an important part of their culture is rugby league. Rugby league isn't just a game there. It's a national obsession. From Port Moresby to the Highlands, the sport unites communities that otherwise might never interact. In a country with hundreds of languages and tribes, rugby league is one of the few things everyone can agree on. It was formally announced in December 2024 that PNG will field a team in the NRL starting from 2028. The Australian government will invest $600 million over 10 years to help develop the team and associated facilities in Port Moresby. That funding is conditional on an assurance PNG will not sign a security deal that could allow Chinese police or military forces to be based in the Pacific nation. On the surface, it's a sporting decision, but politically, it's a masterstroke. It brings PNG directly into Australia's cultural orbit on equal terms. It gives PNG players a pathway to professional careers with the chance to train and play alongside the world's best. For Australia, it means every weekend, millions of fans in PNG and here at home, we will be watching the same game, cheering the same competition. That is cultural integration in real time. And don't underestimate the influence of soft power. Where diplomacy sometimes fails, sport can succeed. Every try scored by a PNG player in the NRL will be another thread tying our countries together. Rugby league might just be the glue that holds this partnership together off the battlefield. The PALM scheme. The next piece of the puzzle is labour mobility. For years, Australia has relied on the Pacific Australia Labour Mobility, the PALM scheme, to bring in workers from across the Pacific for jobs in industries like agriculture, construction, and care work. Right now, PALM is mainly about filling these labour gaps in through temporary and longer-term visas. But I think there should be a strong policy appetite in Canberra to also frame it as a development and skills transfer program for the Pacific. Here's how I think it could work. Offshore skills training. One of the biggest challenges in Pacific labour mobility is access. Not everyone can afford to travel to Australia just to get the training and qualifications required. That's where offshore skills training comes in. Imagine Australian standard training hubs set up directly in PNG and other Pacific nations, places like Suva, Port Vila and Honiara, all delivered in partnership with local institutions and backed by TAFE. The focus would be on trade skills, things like plumbing, carpentry, electrical work, training that's aligned with the Australian qualifications framework so that graduates walk away with real, recognised qualifications. Certification 3 or 4 level, and the best part is they don't have to leave home to get them. This model allows Pacific Islanders to gain skills that are both locally useful and internationally portable. Whether they choose to work in their communities or come to Australia under a labour mobility scheme, the qualifications carry real weight. A structured PALM expansion. Now, once those skills are in place, Australia can expand the PALM scheme in a structured way. Think of it as a new PALM stream, separate from seasonal work, designed specifically for skilled trades. With an annual cap of around 5,000 to 10,000 places, this would create a controlled, predictable flow of workers into industries that desperately need them. The conditions are straightforward. Applicants must complete their in-country Australian standard training. They also have to meet basic English and civic requirements. Once accepted, they can come to Australia on a PALM visa lasting 2 to 4 years. But unlike seasonal farm work, these visas would be tied to regional employers in construction, infrastructure, and maintenance. That means workers arrive already trained, already licensed, and ready to hit the ground running. Employer and regional benefits. So why does this matter for Australia? Because our regional and rural employers are already struggling. Construction trades are among the highest vacancy occupations in the country, from small towns to regional cities. Projects are stalling simply because there aren't enough skilled workers. This pathway would directly fill that gap. Employers get access to workers who already have met Australian safety and licensing standards. No shortcuts, no costly retraining. And the migration is circular. After 2 to 4 years, workers return home with valuable trade skills and on-the-job experience that strengthens their own communities while keeping the flow of opportunities open for others. It's a model where everyone benefits. Australian employers, Pacific workers, and Pacific economies. Development and integration outcomes. But the impact goes far beyond labour shortages. For Pacific nations, this approach shifts the focus from remittances alone to genuine skills transfer. Workers don't send just money back, they return with qualifications and experience that can be used to benefit local industries. That builds resilience. In a region facing climate change, economic shocks, and growing outside influence, a trained workforce is one of the most valuable assets any country can have. For Australia, the benefits are twofold. Our employers get a reliable, skilled labour force, and at the same time, we're building deeper ties with Pacific nations, ties based on opportunity, education, and shared growth. How it fits in the system. So how do we make this work in practice? The most logical approach is to introduce it as a new PALM skilled trades pathway. It would sit alongside the existing seasonal and long-term PALM streams, but focus specifically on skilled labour. Each year, the Minister for Immigration could set intake levels, balancing Australia's labour market needs with Pacific development priorities. That keeps the system flexible and responsive. And for the best performing workers, the pathway doesn't have to end when the visa does. It could be linked to the broader Pacific Engagement Visa, offering a route to permanent residency for those who meet settlement, earnings, and civics milestones. That way, the program isn't just about filling jobs, it's about building careers, building communities, and building a stronger Australia-Pacific partnership. The strategic payoff. So what's the end game here? What do both sides really gain? For Australia, the main answer is security. With PNG on our side, the northern approaches to our continent is covered by a trusted ally. Our bases and ports are safer, our influence in the Pacific is stronger, and our ability to resist outside pressure is dramatically increased. It's a logical solution to a global challenge. For PNG, the payoff is development, training, education, migration, pathways, and international prestige through sport and defence cooperation. This isn't charity, it's opportunity. Instead of being a recipient of endless aid, PNG becomes a partner in its own growth. Together, this creates something rare in international politics, a true win-win. Both sides give, both sides gain, and both sides move closer to a future where the partnership feels less like foreign policy and more like family. The Pacific model. And that's why this relationship matters. Australia's partnership with Papua New Guinea isn't just about defence or sport or jobs. It's about integration. It's about building a shared destiny in the Pacific. If this works, if PNG emerges as a strong, stable, culturally aligned ally, it could become the model for how Australia engages with the entire region. Not aid handouts, but skills, opportunity, and cultural exchange. Not distant diplomacy, but practical, lived integration. PNG could become Australia's closest and most trusted ally. Not because it has to, but because it chooses to, and because the benefits flow both ways. In a world where geography is more important than ever, that's a partnership Australia can't afford to overlook. That's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I'm Mel Pikos, and we've been talking tactics.